All right. The Monroe County Board of Commissioners is now in session. Chairman Mitch Eager presiding. God bless the United States, state of Tennessee, and Monroe County.
Commissioner Lemming, will you give the invocation, please?
Let's pray. Thank you for our favor. Thank you for the rain, Lord, much needed. And just be with this meeting, Lord. Just pray that we make decisions best for the county and everyone in it, Lord. Just thank you for Monroe County and the county that it is. In Jesus' name, amen.
Commissioner Reynolds, will you lead us in the pledge?
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Bill Anderson. Present. Don Harrell.
Here.
Richard Kirkland.
Here.
DJ Langford.
Here.
Chad Leeny.
Here.
Adam Reynolds.
Present.
Bill Shannon.
Here.
Paulette Son.
Present.
Roger Thomas.
Here.
Chris Fox. 9 present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Before we get started with tonight's agenda, as in the past, we've had some presentations and to honor some of our citizens and our youth in Monroe County. Tonight, we're going to honor a very special person who's been here a long time, but has really the last 3 months highlighted and made Monroe County proud. I'm going to ask Commissioner Anderson if he will come down and help make a special presentation with me. Ms. Teresa. The last 3 months, I've worked with this lady every single day, including Saturdays and Sundays. 3 o'clock seems to be our date time.
It's our date time, yes, it is.
So, every Tuesday, 9 o'clock, we're on a conference call. Joe's on it. We've had as many as 30 people. This has been an unprecedented time in our county. And, J.K. Harrell told me one time about the health department, that the health department affects everyone in this county from birth to death. And probably you never would have thought, I certainly would have not thought that you would have been handling a public health emergency. And that's what the health department's all about, is public health. But I want this commission and this county, everyone watching tonight, to realize how important this lady has been the last 3 months. Not only has she been at my side, she's been at Mayor Buddy Bradshaw's side, because she is over 2 counties. Unbelievable. And in this time of crisis and unrest, it's been amazing. I don't know when this young lady sleeps. So, Teresa, I'm going to recognize you with a proclamation tonight, and Commissioner Anderson is going to present you some gifts. And I tell you, we're just proud of you. And it says, whereas public health professionals help community prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks, natural disasters, and disasters caused by human activity. And whereas many essential public health services offered our citizens through Monroe County Health Department depend on the dedication and effectiveness of employees who exemplify visionary leadership and commitment. And whereas one such employee is the director of both Monroe and Loudoun County Health Departments, Ms. Teresa Harrell. Whereas Ms. Harrell is a graduate of the University of Tennessee and has been employed with Monroe County Health Department for 37 years. 17 of those years as an educator and 20 as director. Teresa is the wife of 31 years to Mr. J.K. Harrell. Together they have a son, James, who lives in Atlanta with his wife, Sarah Rose. Whereas today we honor Teresa for her service to the county during the time of prosperity and adversity, and the same during the COVID-19 crisis. At her direction, Monroe County Health Department has tested over 1,500 individuals and worked tirelessly to ensure proper safety measures for Monroe County citizens, visitors. The Monroe County Health Department is a valued asset of our citizens and the strength of its employees and direct reflection of its leadership. Teresa has demonstrated for many, many years, not just this one. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Ingram, Monroe County Mayor, declare June 23rd, 2020 as Teresa Harrell Recognition Day.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored.
Yeah, go, while Joe's getting that, if you want to say
Oh,
something.
I just want to say I'm so honored. I just can't express to you. That makes me want to cry. And then I started. Oh, how pretty. Thank you. I love flowers. I love flowers. Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. It's been the journey, we started the journey, as Mitch said, back in March. I remember even as a family, we talked about this thing in China, what's going on. Oh, we're not gonna have to worry about that. And I remember being at the regional office and we said, well, it's not here yet, but so it's here and it hasn't gone away. It's been challenging. It's been all consuming. But I'm so fortunate to work with such wonderful people. I cannot express to you what a great team we have at the Monroe County Health Department. They're the ones testing. They're the ones doing the drive-through. It's the people at the regional office that are doing the contact tracing. Jerome lives with it too. He knows it's a daily 24/7 situation. And I'm so honored. Yes, Mitch and I, for 11 weeks, I think I counted up that our Tuesday calls, and it's been, and it's just been very humbling in the sense of knowing that everybody comes together in the county. The first call, we had like 38 people on. We were like, oh wow, but that just shows unity, and I appreciate that. And these are so pretty. Thank you. Well, I'm very, very appreciative.
And we're very appreciative of you and all that you've done. And, coming from Sweetwater Hospital Association, what you've done for us and collaborating with us and helping us. And we appreciate everything that you've done for our community.
Oh, thank you.
Nobody knows the calamity that is behind all this, and the waking up in the midnight, getting the calls of different things going on in the community. There's lots of things that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees, and this lady is taking the brunt of that. So we appreciate her, and really thank you from all the citizens.
Oh,
It's a mask.
I was amazing. Thank you.
I just want to say, Teresa, we appreciate what you do, for the 21st district. I've known Teresa for a long time, and, both professionally and as a person, she does things for the right reasons. She's making a difference, and she's a true example of what we all need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Lowell. Thank you.
We've actually got a resolution coming from Nashville, but they had been backed up due to COVID-19 and legal, so it won't be here until about a week. So.
Hey, we'll say we're in.
All right, so
Okay, it's
thank
not
you.
over, so we're
That's
good.
right. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to the commission. I appreciate you guys and everything that you do, so I am honored. Thank you. Yeah, I've got my better hat, but yeah, there you go. Thank you.
623-1, Commissioner minutes from the previous May meeting, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. there any discussion or corrections? All those in favor of accepting those minutes, say aye. Any opposed? Those minutes will be recorded. 623-2, note public applications. I believe you do have a list of those applications for this meeting. What's the pleasure on these applications? I have a motion from Commissioner Lemming, a second from Commissioner Langford. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of accepting these, say aye. Any opposed? Those applications will be accepted. 623-3, trustee monthly report. You have this report from Ms. Hall's office. What's the pleasure on this report? I have a motion for Commissioner Thomas to accept this report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That report will be accepted. 623-4, Director of Finance report. You have that report from Ms. Hicks and her office staff. Have a motion for Commissioner Langford. Second for Commissioner Anderson. Is there any questions or discussion? All those in favor of accepting this report say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick comment. Could, a while past, we made the motion or suggestion that we receive everything by the 15th. And I know it's getting worse that we are receiving stuff later, even as of today, we receive stuff. So, but I know we have the clerk's office, everybody's office, we get those
Okay.
relayed, maybe, because, you know, make the best informed decision. I like to see it a few days before, the actual meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkland. 623-5, a resolution authorizing a 6-month rental contract with the state of Tennessee. Whereas the state of Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation has a need for office space, and whereas Monroe County government has vacant office space located in 310 Tellico Street. Whereas Monroe County government agrees that the state will provide with approximately 1,000 square feet of office related to the space at 310 Tellico Street. Whereas the state agrees to use said premises for the purpose of the office space of water resources staff and agrees to make payment to Monroe County government at a rate of $600 per month. Therefore be it resolved, Monroe County Commissioners, that the Monroe County Director of Finance has authorized to enter a 6-month contract with the Tennessee State Department of Environment and Conservation for a lease of 1,000 square feet at 310 Tellico Street. And you have that contract before you. This is the floodwater, floodplain people from TDEC, and that is that office space agreement.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Harrell, second from Commissioner Langford. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Clerk.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell. Richard Kirkland. P.J. Langford. Chad Leeny. Adam Mills. Bill Shannon. Paulette Summers.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5A, a resolution authorizing a multiple-year copier lease purchase and maintenance agreement for the Monroe County Mayor's Office. Whereas the Monroe County Mayor's Office has a need to upgrade, operate, and maintain their current copier, including hardware, software, system within their respective offices, and whereas the current copier is not sufficiently meeting the needs of the function of the department in concern, and whereas the proceeds of the multi-year lease agreement are currently budgeted within the Monroe County General Fund budget is deemed necessary in order to expedite the resolution of this matter. Whereas the projected cost of the copier hardware system is such that the payments need to be spread over more than one budget year, Monroe County Director of Finance does not have the authority to enter into purchase contracts for this period of time without the approval of County Commission. Now, it be therefore resolved, Monroe County Commission is the Monroe County Director of Finance is authorized to enter into a multi-year lease agreement with Image Matters, and the lease is not to extend over a period of 60 months and a monthly payment of $105. Have a motion?
Second.
Is a second from Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell. Richard Kirk. TJ Langford. Chad Leeny. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shannon. Paulette Summey.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5B, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Jail be made in the general fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 for the recording of grant funds under the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program to pay overtime salaries in amount of $32,229.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Harrell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Langford. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson. Brian Harrell. Richard Kirkland. TJ Langford. Chad Leeny. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shannon. Paulette Summey.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5C, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Jail be made in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 for reclassification of funds to pay inmate drug and medical costs at $70,000. Have a motion from Commissioner Langford, second from Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion?
Yes, can we get a detailed bill of drugs and medical expenses of that? And 70,000, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Can we table that, or do you have that?
No, it has to explain to you.
Okay, go ahead.
It is on-site inmate medical care, and they have contract with Arlington Correctional Healthcare Facilities. They provide them with an RN and two LPNs 24/7 and a doctor on call 24/7. This also includes any HIV medication that we have to pay in addition to that. And it also, if we have outside outpatient care such as the hospitals or the area hospitals, it includes that. It has been much higher this year than normal. But we can give you, to answer your question, we can give you a detailed listing of that.
I guess my question is this the past months, or is this just?
It's year to date, it's over budget line year to date.
Okay. So this is what we're short
Yes.
over the year?
Yes, and part of the project to spend the year that, in defense of the jail, Chief Medina has been in contact with them, and because our prison population has dropped down, it has saved us some money. They want to give us a credit on that. It's approximately around $40,000, we're short of $40,000. Plus, in addition to that, we had a state inmate, and the state reimburses us on that, and it was about $42,000. So that will go back in, and it helps all of this. And any that is not used at year end will go back into fund balance.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson. Brian Harrell. Richard Kirkland. TJ Langford. Chad Leeny. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shannon. Paulette Summey.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5D, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Sheriff Department be made in the amount of $28,650 in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 for the reclassification of funds to pay overtime salaries. Have a motion from Commissioner Langford, second from Commissioner Lemon. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson. Brian Harrell. Richard Kirkland. TJ Langford. Chad Leeny. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shedd, Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5E, be it resolved, Monroe County Commissioners meeting regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Sheriff Department be made in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 for the reclassification of fund of part-time salaries in the amount of $8,000. Motion from Commissioner Langford.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bill Anderson. Aye. Brian Harrell, Richard Kirkland. P.J. Langford. Chad Redding. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shedd. Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5F, a resolution to declare electronic poll books as surplus property and place them to sale at Loudoun and McMinn County. Whereas Monroe County has the authority to declare as surplus is no longer deemed necessary or adequate to properly perform the duties of county government as prescribed by law. Whereas Monroe County Election Commission desires to declare as surplus property 15 electronic poll books. And whereas Monroe County Election Administrator James Brown requests to declare these poll books as surplus and place them for sale to Loudoun and McMinn County at the price of $1,000 each.
Question for you. $15,000, we're gonna put that where?
My guess it would go to the general fund.
At the general. Make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Harrell, second from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bill Anderson. Aye. Brian Harrell,
Aye.
Richard Kirkland. P.J. Langford. Chad Redding. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shedd. Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 5G, let me give some clarification on 5G. 5G is not actually a grant application. It is a quarterly report that is set in to keep our 3-star status requirements. Has to be the debt policy. In fact, Ms. Martin had prepared this document already, but it has to go through the county commission and be recorded for the county commission. The grant will be later in the process. So I will read the resolution to apply for the grant, but the document that you have is a quarterly requirement that has to be sent in to the state as well as minutes from the meeting. It says, whereas Monroe County Mayor's Office through the Monroe County Government requests permission to participate in the State of Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development 3-star grant, whereas Monroe County as the grantee shall utilize these grant funds for education, workforce development, improved activities, whereas Monroe County Mayor will follow proper procedure in the execution of this grant, which will not require a match by Monroe County government, whereas Monroe County meets all qualifications to participate in this grant enhancement. Again, this document that you have is not part of the grant, it's a quarterly report that is to be submitted to the state.
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Anderson. Second. Let me have a roll call on this one too, please.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it true that all these funds go to Cleveland State?
No, they're not necessarily designated. In the past, Cleveland State has used some of those funds because they were part, but no, they are not the sole. I mean, that's not the
Okay.
only place they can go.
Okay. So is there a designation of, are they used in the county?
Yeah, for workforce development.
Workforce
Yes.
development, okay. Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson. Brian Harrell, Richard Kirkland. P.J. Langford. Chad Redding. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shedd. Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5H, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Animal Shelter for this PetSmart grant in the total of $2,500 be approved for the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 1920.
Motion.
Have a motion from Commissioner Summey, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Anderson, is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson,
Aye.
Brian Harrell, Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford, Chad Lees, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5I, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Sheriff Department be made in the county general fund budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020 in the amount of $1,025.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson,
Aye.
Brian Harrell,
Aye.
Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford, Chad Lees, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5J, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Economic Development Department budget be made in the general fund budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. This donation was made by Mastercraft Boat Company to offset a portion of the cost of the annual Monroe County Achievers Banquet in the amount of $500.
So moved.
Have a motion to accept this donation for Mr. Harrell, second from Commissioner Anderson. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson, John Harrell,
Aye.
Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford, Chad Lees, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5K, be it resolved, Monroe County Commissioners meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Election Commission be made in the county general fund budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020. This amendment will be the fund purchase of the polling machines in the amount of $318,090.
Motion, sorry.
Have a motion,
Hurry.
Commissioner Langford. Is there a second? No.
Second.
All right, a second for Commissioner Harrell. Ms. Hicks?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brown called and wants to make sure that the commission understands that he will receive $150,000 from the state of Tennessee as a partial reimbursement for these. So he wanted you to be aware of that. Thank you.
Does that have anything to do with the 100,000 that went back, that we had something for machine?
No, that was a different. Yes.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson, Brian Harrell,
Aye.
Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford, Chad Lees, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5L, be it resolved, Monroe County Commissioners meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment for the state aid paving project and the bridge construction from TDOT be made in the Highway Public Works Fund for the fiscal year 19 and 20 in the amount of $206,173.88.
So moved.
A motion for Commissioner Harrell. Is there a second? Second for Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson, Brian Harrell,
Aye.
Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford, Chad Lees, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summey,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5M, Be it resolved, Monroe County Board of Commissioners in meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment for COVID-19 CARES Act grant in the total amount of $71,765.93 be approved in the Monroe County General Fund budget for the fiscal year 1920. The purpose of this grant is to offset lost ambulance revenue during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved.
I have a motion to accept from Commissioner Harrell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just what period of time is this? I mean, for a loss of that amount.
I believe it was January through March is what Randy told me.
Thank you.
This is actually some outside what the sheriff has got some of the first CARES revenue we've actually received. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bill Anderson,
Aye.
Ron Harrell, Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford, Chad Leeny, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5N, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Circuit Court Clerk Department be made in the general fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 in the amount of $1,400. Have a motion from Commissioner Langford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just, what is that exactly? Is it, what is,
She's moving some part-time money up into other salaries and wages,
right,
and she was her on-call people. She has people that are on-call behind, and there's a shortage of them.
is it like increasing their salary?
No,
No, it's just.
No, it's just- it's on-call.
Okay,
Your budget, it's not an increase in salaries at all.
okay, I got it. What agreed to kind of imply, other salaries and money.
That line, that's the only thing that line pays.
State of Tennessee classification.
Remember, we only got so many lines. We can make our own up.
Okay, I got it, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson,
Aye.
Ron Harrell, Richard Kirkland, TJ Langford. Chad Leeny, Adam Reynolds, Bill Shedd, Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-50, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Debt Fund be made in the Monroe County Debt Fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 for the reclassification of funds to adjust principal and interest payments at the year end for the Monroe County Justice Center debt payments in the amount of $691.28.
Question.
Okay.
This is just going on a bond that for the building that we're sitting in.
Yes, for the debt fund.
It's
Yes.
just a reclassification of funds. At the beginning of the year, we budget how much is principal, how much is interest, and there's a total payment made. And at the end of the year, sometimes that has to be adjusted. As far as what is principal and what is interest. So on this one, there's a decrease in interest and an increase in the principal on the bond payment. It's no new money, it's just a reclassification.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a motion from Commissioner Harrell, second from Commissioner Lemming. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson. Ron Harrell, Richard Kirkland. TJ Langford. Chad Leeny. Adam Reynolds. Bill Shedd. Paulette Summers,
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5P, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment for the state aid paving projects be made for bridge construction from TDOT in the Highway Public Works Fund budget for fiscal year 1920 in the amount of $135,145.
Motion.
Have a motion from Commissioner Summey, a second from Commissioner Thomas. Now, is there any question or discussion?
It's just the same fund, different amount, different time around.
Is this a reimbursement for past bridges built or?
It is. The state of Tennessee,
You have to build it first.
we have to build it. They put it out on bid, they tell us where to build it, they put it out on bid, they award the bid. And the highway department runs the project for them. And then the state of Tennessee actually drops this money in our account before we write the check to the construction company. That's one of the things that people don't understand about the highway department, that it's actually many of these are state funded.
Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell.
Aye.
Richard Kirk. Aye. DJ Langford. Chad Leeny.
Aye.
Adam Reynolds.
Aye.
Bill Shannon.
Aye.
Paulette Sands.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
No.
Motion carries. 623-5Q, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Animal Shelter for TCRS retirement contributions be made in the general fund budget for fiscal year 1920 in the amount of $586.64.
Motion.
A motion from Commissioner Langford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Summey. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell.
Aye.
Richard Kirk. DJ Langford. Chad Leeny.
Aye.
Adam Reynolds.
Aye.
Bill Shannon.
Aye.
Paulette Sands.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5R. Be it resolved, Monroe County Commission in meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Dental Clinic for the TCRS retirement contributions be made in the general fund budget for the fiscal year 1920 in the amount of $675. Have a motion from Commissioner Lemming, a second from Commissioner Langford. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell.
Aye.
Richard Kirk. DJ Langford. Chad Leeny.
Aye.
Adam Reynolds. Bill Shannon.
Aye.
Paulette Sands.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5S. Be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, 2020, the following amendment to the Monroe County Solid Waste Department be made in the county general fund budget for the fiscal year 1920. This budget amendment will adjust waste management contracts for the lines of year end for $35,000. Have a motion from Commissioner Langford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Harrell. Is there any discussion?
This is a adjustment for what increases?
An average of 10 loads per month for those 3 months is what that equates.
Okay.
For those 3 months last year, we had about 30 loads. We had 60 loads.
This is the,
During COVID.
plastic and, or the paper, right?
Well, no, this is just the garbage, the bag garbage through Waste
Oh, okay.
Connections, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just the haul and the tonnage. And so that's the other thing in the contract. We pay for the haul and the tonnage as well.
The cardboard and stuff like that, the waste management.
Right.
That's where the contract's going
Right.
up with.
Right. Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell.
Aye.
Richard Kirk. DJ Langford. Chad Leeny.
Aye.
Adam Reynolds. Bill Shannon.
Aye.
Paulette Sands.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-5T, lease purchase for communications. Chad, do you have that?
Yeah, we just got this and handed to us while we're.
Okay. Be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session, June 23, the following amendment to Monroe County lease purchase of the countywide radio system be made in the county general fund budget for fiscal year 1920 in the amount of $3,210,000. And you see this request was made. Ms. Hicks has to sign that lease agreement debt obligation for that. And this was based on the resolution that was passed last year.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
And this provides everyone with the same radio, so we've got.
Not the exact same radio. Some departments, be it fire department or police, they'll get radios, but they're different. For example, 4,000 versus 8,000. But each department is getting radios, including the city. Not every person in the cities, but the city will have a radio or two to communicate.
We all talk on the same.
I mean, I know what I did the last time this came up.
Yeah.
Now, is there some discussion that some cities are opting out, or some departments are opting out of?
No, the city, especially Sweetwater, for example, Madisonville City, they have a different system, but they will have radios to our system, so the county and the city can communicate. They're just not going to convert totally over to this system.
They had done opted to buy their radio system, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, Madisonville did theirs, and Councilor Nelson, you were probably involved in that just a couple of years ago. And Sweetwater is on a totally different system, but this contract does provide, I think, each city 2 to 4, depending on the size of the department radio, so they can still communicate. Chad, do you have anything else to say about this project?
We have to provide Madison City radios so they can talk within the jail.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things.
Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson.
Aye.
Brian Harrell. Richard Kirk. TJ Langford. Chad Reed. Adam Webb.
No.
Bill Shannon. Paulette Summey.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-6, resolution of budget amendments. You have these budget amendments from the Monroe County Board of Education in front of you. What's the pleasure on these budget requests?
Make a motion.
Have a motion from Commissioner Lemming, a second from Commissioner Langford. Is there any discussion or question? Roll call, please.
Joe Anderson. Brian Harrell. Richard Kirk. TJ Langford. Chad Reed. Adam Webb. Bill Shannon. Paulette Summey.
Aye.
Roger Thomas.
Motion carries. 623-7, standing committee, tasks and planning. You have those two. One's a reappointment, one's filling a vacancy.
I don't have to.
I put it that last, we just gave that sheet, there's one.
I have the task, but I don't have the plan.
Paulette, it got emailed to you.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, we got it yesterday afternoon, and it should be in that last card. Y'all have it? Well, I'll send it all out to everybody.
It's on
Read it
email.
to them. To Jay, read it to you.
The only changes look like it's, replacing Rocky Dalton with Mike Lowe. that correct, Mayor?
Yes, and reappointing Mr. Hammond to the task force.
Well,
Yes.
they got the Hammond treatment,
Yeah.
they should get the
Yeah.
last one that came in yesterday.
Is there a motion to accept these committee changes?
Motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Those will be accepted. 623-8. This one came at the request at last month's meeting of the gentleman who had public comment based on the Asian carp situation. I think I found this one. I think Ms. Summy requested that this resolution be put on, and I'm going to read that. It says, resolution from Monroe County Commission urging federal officials, government, the Tennessee Valley Authority, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency to aggressively assist in addressing Asian carp invasion of Tennessee waterways. Whereas Monroe County is the home to lakes and rivers that provide spectacular boating, canoeing, fishing, skiing, and outdoor activities. Whereas the waterway serves as a source of vital commercial and economic activity for Monroe County and the surrounding area. And whereas according to the TWRA, there are 4 species of Asian carp in the United States and in Tennessee, including big head carp, silver carp, black carp, and grass carp. All 4 species of Asian carp were imported to the United States for various aquaculture projects located in the Mississippi River Delta, from which the carp escaped during the high floods. The Asian carp migrated into Tennessee waters through river dam locks, spillways, and whereas sterilized grass carp may be used in ponds for vegetation control, but recent testing of grass carp in wild populations has revealed that many of these fish are not sterile in variety. And whereas the bighead and silver carp compete for the native species of food in consuming microscopic algae and zooplankton, and black carp may eat many species of snails, mussels that are native to Tennessee. Grass carp eat vegetation that provides cover for sport fish such as largemouth bass, crappie, and bluegill. Whereas all species of Asian carp that have entered into Tennessee waters compete for space and native fish species. Depending on the species of Asian carp, they may grow up to 100 pounds, and whereas by outcompeting native fish or limited resources, Asian carp have the ability to reduce growth rates of native fish or displace them almost completely. Whereas in addition to threatening continued viability of native fish, snail, mussel populations, the silver carp poses a danger to boaters, fishers, water skiers, and persons who use the waters of Tennessee for recreational purposes. The silver carp is known as to jump when distributed by boat or disturbed by boats. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, a collision between boater and a jumping silver carp has the potential to cause human fatalities. And whereas the TWRA website states the following in regard to the management of Asian carp, quote, Asian carp is a national problem and control of carp is a national effort. Tennessee representatives actively serve on the Ohio River Asian Carp Task Force, where they work collaboratively with other state representatives in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Tennessee Valley Authority, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the Ohio Basin to make best use of the limited federal dollars for the Asian carp control in our basin. Tennessee is also an active participant in the Mississippi River Interstate Cooperative Resource Association, an organization of 28 states and federal agencies that are working together to lobby for the Asian carp management and funds, end quote. Whereas in November 2019, the U.S. Senate appropriated funds sought by Tennessee Senator Lamar Alexander to help prevent the spread of Asian carp into the Mississippi River Basin. Whereas continued support of the federal government, the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, is vital to successfully controlling the Asian carp. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Monroe County Commission meeting in regular session the 23rd day of June 2020 hereby urges the President of the United States, Congress, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Tennessee Valley Authority, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency to provide assistance, including but not limited to provisions of the assistance of local organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce to aggressively address the Asian carp invasion of the waterways, and certified copies of this resolution be prepared and transmitted to the President of the United States, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, the Tennessee Congressional Delegation, the Director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, members of the Board of Directors of the Tennessee Valley Authority, the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Tennessee Valley Authority, the Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the member of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Game Commission, and the Executive Director of the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency.
Motion.
Thank you. And a second.
I was trying to motion you halfway through, so you didn't read, I didn't want to be rude.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of moving and passing this resolution on, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. One thing that I did not mention, for information only, Ms. Hicks has provided a report on the debt obligation in your packet. You have that email and that also. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
And a second from Commissioner Lemming. All those in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned.